The movement to eliminate plastic straws is gathering steam.
Welcome to Plain English, the podcast that goes at the right speed for English language learners. Listen now and read the transcript online at plainenglish.com. Now, here's Jeff, your host for today's episode.
You might have already used one of these today. Plastic straws you find in fast food restaurants or with your iced coffee are the target of a new movement to reduce plastic waste. Hi friends, this is Jeff, and you are listening to the podcast that goes at the right speed for people learning English. Today is episode 69, and you can find a transcript of the program at plainenglish.com/69. Later on in today's episode, we'll talk about the English expression gathering steam. So I want you to pay close attention to the whole first part of the episode to see if you can hear the phrase gathering steam, since that's what we're going to be talking about in the second half. A movement is gathering steam to reduce the world's consumption of a ubiquitous product, plastic straws. Straws present a vexing problem for the environment because they are rarely recycled and they don't break down in nature. In fact, a single plastic straw will stay around for 200 years before breaking down in nature. So straws are turning up in the oceans and hurting wildlife there. A YouTube video showing a marine biologist pulling plastic straws out of a sea turtle's nose went viral. In the United States alone, we use 500 million plastic straws a day. That's more than one per person, and it adds up to 175 billion plastic straws every year. We get them in fast food restaurants like McDonald's and Chipotle, with our iced coffee drinks at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, and then at countless sit-down restaurants and bars, which often serve tiny little plastic straws with cocktails that are more a decoration than anything else. Much of the world's plastic gets recycled, but packaging and straws are often just thrown in the garbage or even discarded outside normal trash collection, likely because they're so small that people overlook the need to recycle them. One really unappetizing result of this is that small plastics are being eaten by fish, and then that plastic shows up again on our dinner plates, since the fish we eat were also eating plastic out of the world's oceans and rivers. One study, and listen, don't ask me how they measure such things, but one study said that by the end of the year 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the oceans. That's one reason that environmental groups have begun to call for taxes, boycotts, or outright governmental bans on plastic straws. The United Kingdom announced in April that it plans to ban the sale of plastic straws in the future. Consumer and environmental groups are putting pressure on fast food companies to cut down on the plastic they discard. Starbucks announced on Monday that they will eliminate all plastic straws and instead use lids for cold drinks that allow you to sip without a straw. Some Starbucks drinks will come with straws in the future, but those straws will be made of paper or compostable plastic that would break down more easily. You did hear me right when I said paper. Paper straws were actually invented in the 1800s, and they can be strong enough so they don't dissolve in your drink. Other options include straws made of bamboo and, of course, reusable, sturdy plastic, glass, or metal. The problem with those is keeping them clean. It might seem like a good decision to switch from plastic to paper straws, which break down in the environment, but it's not so simple. You see, in order to produce paper or other straws based on more natural materials, you need to use a lot of water and energy, and all that has an environmental cost too. The other challenge is getting enough of them. There's already a big industry to supply the restaurant world with plastic straws. McDonald's, for example, can't simply announce that it's moving to paper straws because the companies that make paper straws wouldn't be big enough to satisfy all of McDonald's thirsty customers. The transition would have to be gradual. McDonald's, incidentally, said that it is phasing out plastic straws in the UK and Ireland. Perhaps if consumers don't mind the alternatives, they will follow Starbucks' lead and eliminate them worldwide. Straws also represent just a very, very tiny fraction of all the plastic discarded in the ocean. It might make sense to start with something bigger, but advocates say that plastic straws are really unnecessary and that most people can probably stop using straws without ever really noticing a difference. They hope that by tackling straws first, people might be more open to changing their plastic consumption habits on other things, like plastic forks and knives, later on. I remember first becoming aware of this in Mexico, actually. I don't remember exactly where or when I first saw this, but I know that bars and restaurants in Mexico have had small signs at the bar area urging customers not to use straws if they don't need it. I know in some countries, especially in Latin America, it's popular to drink soft drinks from the can with a straw, mostly out of concern that the can might not be clean. My last trip to Mexico was to Los Cabos, and I saw the notes there about the straws in a couple of places. In fact, as I was writing this episode, I noticed not a plastic straw, but one of those long green plastic stoppers they give you in Starbucks to keep the coffee from spilling as you carry it back home. And the truth is, I didn't really need this plastic stopper. I honestly just took it because they offered it. So, from my perspective, I definitely know that I can cut down on plastic in my own personal life. I will make a point to put this stopper in my overflowing recycling bin, too. I'd like to say hi to a couple of listeners who posted reviews of Plain English on our Facebook page. Rocio from Bariloche, Argentina, said plain English was exactly what he was looking for to improve his English. Luis from Guatemala, David from Colombia, and Paolo from Brazil all left nice reviews too. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to leave some nice comments on our Facebook page. If you'd like to say hello to JR and me or leave a review, it's really easy to find us on both Twitter and Facebook. Our usernames are the same on both. It's Plain English Pod. So did you hear gathering steam when it first appeared? I hope you were paying attention. When something is gathering steam, it is increasing in force or speed. Here's how you initially heard it in the very first sentence of the main part of today's program. The movement to reduce our use of plastic straws is gathering steam. The movement is like the coordinated effort, and the movement is gathering steam because more and more people are starting to become aware of the damage that plastic straws do to the environment. The movement first started with just scientists and environmental activists. But now, many celebrities, corporations, and individuals all support this movement. So you can say that the movement is gathering steam because it is becoming more and more popular every day. Let's see if we can think of some other things that are gathering steam in the world today. Artificial intelligence is a big thing in the business world, using computers to not only do repeatable tasks, but to learn from their mistakes and get better all on their own. AI is a big deal in business these days, and you would definitely say that artificial intelligence is gathering steam. Just a few years ago, it felt like science fiction to talk about AI, but now it's top of mind for a lot of big companies. So artificial intelligence has been gathering steam these last few years. I did a quick Google search for gather steam, and here are a few examples I found. There's a movement in Canada to buy Canadian products instead of American products as retaliation against some of the things the American president has been saying and doing of late. That movement, at least according to the article, is gathering steam in Canada. It's becoming more and more popular with consumers. There is also a movement in parts of Europe to oppose so-called mass tourism. Cities like Barcelona are finding that having so many tourists makes it hard for locals to find affordable apartments and leads to overcrowding of its beaches and cultural sites. This effort to reduce mass tourism is gathering steam in some cities in Europe. It's becoming more and more popular. That's it for today. We are going back to our old schedule starting next week, where we will publish an episode every Monday and every Thursday. It's been fun doing 3 a week, but as JR can also attest, it has been a lot more work for both of us. We had to write, produce, and publish the Monday episodes all in one day, so that cut down on some of the flexibility we had in our Sundays. So now we're back to our more leisurely pace of 2 a week starting next week, which we can take our time producing over the weekend and into the week. But from my perspective, these extra episodes we made have been worth it, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about the World Cup as much as we enjoyed making the episodes about it. The next episode will be on Monday, and we'll talk about robots in the kitchen. I'll leave that to your imagination until the episode comes out. Monday morning U.S. time, that one becomes available. Don't miss it.